We all wish we could fight back against the system, especially the system in which we live in today. More and more, I get the sense that people are just walking through the pressure cooker known as life. And while the everyday man struggles, the ones who are supposed to serve are the ones we can rely upon the least. No other movie speaks to that need to fight back in a stylish Zen master way than watching Bodhi himself put on his Ronald Reagan mask and rob the system blind. I am, of course, referring to one of the greatest crime drama surf flicks of all time, Point Break. And when I say this, I mean the original. Well, that goes without saying, right? In the times we live in now, it is a horrible time to be a criminal, let alone a bank robber. But back in the 90s, the world was a place where there was oversight, but one could still stake his claim. Now, I am not saying to go down to your nearest costume store and get down like the ex-presidents, but rather to take their rebellious, live free with the wind in your hair views and use it to break the shackles we all feel so imprisoned by. We are going to look at the Zen master himself, none other than Bodhi, whom I think every kid from the 90s wanted to be like when they saw Point Break and went out and tried to surf. We will dive into his most iconic quotes to show his point of view on the world. We can't leave out Johnny Utah in this exploration, obviously, but actually we will because his lines are so cut and dry. An FBI agent definitely spoke them. It is easy to become disillusioned by the world we live in today, and that is why I try to bring back and keep alive some of the stories that can take us back to the moments where we felt free and not inundated by this stifling world. Point Break is far more than a stylish action movie about surfing and bank robberies. It is a film deeply concerned with freedom, identity, and the dangerous allure of living outside society's rules. The movie follows the young hotshot FBI agent Johnny Utah as he infiltrates a group of surfers led by their charismatic leader Bodhi. What begins as a crime investigation slowly transforms into a philosophical conflict between structure and liberation. Bodhi represents a reckless but seductive worldview centered on chasing ultimate experiences and rejecting conformity, while Utah struggles between his duty as a law enforcement officer and his growing admiration for the surfer's fearless lifestyle. The film's themes are amplified by its kinetic action scenes, especially the surfing sequences, which symbolize spiritual escape and the pursuit of transcendence through nature and adrenaline. Beneath the explosions and chase scenes, Point Break explores masculinity, obsession, loyalty, and the human desire to feel truly alive, making it one of the most thoughtful and emotionally resonant action films of the 1990s. I remember trying to grow my hair out when I was a kid, so I could look like a lion showing off my Bodhi steez, but it did not turn out too well. I have probably seen this movie 1,000 times, but it never gets old watching sloppy Angelo Pappas ask Johnny to order him meatball sandwiches in the morning because he was so hungry he could eat the ass end out of a dead rhino. You better remember to get him too, especially while he was reading Calvin and Hobbes. Every time Bodhi spoke, it was like he was writing the book of his life, and every quote was born from deep wisdom and spiritual candor. Bodhi says the most iconic line ever: "What's the matter with you guys?" This was never about the money. This was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive. It does not get more inspirational than that to pump up your troops to keep them robbing banks, knowing they have an FBI agent trying to infiltrate their ranks. This is why I never saw Bodhi as a villain. I always saw him as not quite a hero, but a man who was sure of frame, who portrayed one appearance and then turned it up to another. This was why Johnny did not suspect him at first, because he was so calm, chill, and in control that there was no way this man could be knocking off banks in his spare time. This is why Johnny went after Bunker and his boys first. This is the greatest type of antagonist in movies, not just a straightforward kill-them-all type of character, but one who develops, draws you in, and makes you really admire him. like you would want his approval after having a beer with him. This was the genius character development that happened in the 90s. Bodhi says, "It's basic dog psychology. If you scare them and get them peeing down their leg, they submit. But if you project weakness, that promotes violence, and that's how people get hurt." This quote proves my point. He had the knack for understanding concepts, which is why the ex-presidents were so successful robbing banks, because Bodhi understood who he had to be and how he had to act to pull these things off. He had this Zen master thing going on, but we cannot forget that he was a badass surf god, who was an adrenaline junkie if ever one existed. He said, "If you want the ultimate, you've got to be willing to pay the ultimate price. It's not tragic to die doing what you love." This was a man willing to go to that next level to find that ultimate nirvana. It's 100% pure adrenaline. Other guys snort for it, jab a vein for it, when all you gotta do is jump. Bodhi held nothing back in life. He lived on the edge, and everyone around him did the same. Through a sort of character trait osmosis, everyone, including Johnny, got sucked into Bodhi's personality and philosophy, and started trying to live like he did, which was going all out while keeping a calm demeanor. He portrayed himself to be completely fearless, and in fact, maybe he was. He said, "Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true." So by ridding himself of all fear that death would come knocking, he was able to do all these crazy things without any hesitation, no stutter step. This was the key to his success as a bank robber, but ultimately not having this governor led him to making some poor decisions, which in the end got his whole crew killed. All we have to do is look at how Bodhi went out. He dies like a damn champ, doing what he loved to the max. Would expect nothing less from this man. It's like life was one big ride, and he was trying to get everything out of it while he could, and did not want to miss out. One of his final lines speaks volumes. "You see, Johnny, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, man. My whole life has been about this moment, Johnny." When he says this line, right before he paddles out into the 50-year storm, we can see that he was not lying. This was not a man like most, who just talks like this to impress girls at a party. No, I truly believe he was a seeker, looking for something he could not quite grasp, but in the end found in death. I never felt sorry for Bodhi when he died. I think it was because he was happy, content to die doing what he lived for, taking things to the edge and back. If we could all be so lucky to die doing what we love, instead of what we hate, maybe there would be less ghosts wandering around with unfinished business, right? Bodhi is a compelling character because he embodies both admirable freedom and dangerous extremism. One of the biggest lessons we can learn from him is the importance of living with passion and intention. Bodhi refuses to drift through life passively. He chases experiences that make him feel fully alive, whether that means surfing massive waves, traveling constantly, or rejecting materialism and routine. His philosophy encourages people to question empty social expectations and think about what truly gives their lives meaning. In many ways, he represents the human desire for transcendence, the search for moments so intense and beautiful that they feel almost spiritual. At the same time, Point Break shows the cost of taking that mindset too far. Bodhi becomes addicted to risk and convinced that his pursuit of freedom justifies manipulation, crime, and violence. He romanticizes danger so completely that he loses his moral boundaries, dragging others into destruction along with him. The film suggests that freedom without responsibility can become selfish and even nihilistic. And we all know how much this modern world in 2026 can turn us all into closet nihilists. Bodhi's charisma makes his worldview seductive, but the story ultimately warns that a meaningful life requires balance. Passion and adventure matter, but so do accountability, empathy, and respect for other people's lives. I mean, the man had one name though, just like Prince or Spartacus. Regardless how you feel about it, You cannot say he wasn't a complete G for having him and his whole crew dress as ex-United States presidents and rob banks. Simply genius. But I would not expect anything less because he did not do things just for the money, just for the vanity. No, he wanted to make a statement. His whole life was a statement, and you do not fight the system any better than dressing like the ones you despise and robbing them blind. Well, enough with all this, because we should have all just listened to damn Angelo Pappas. Speak into the microphone, squid brain.